the spray, like starter
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
That's just like,
Yeah. That's
1,000 octane or something, or alcohol or something, something super flammable. Just spray all that in there. Light a
What
match.
about compressors?
Electric compressor or gas compressor?
Electric. Who works on those? I know. I don't know who. I got one that just, I don't know what's wrong. Might be in the work.
Is it like a little pancake?
No, it's a big one. It sits up high and, sits this high. This big one.
Hmm. You maybe able to get a new power head for it.
That'd be
Then, although that's where.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah. Cause those aren't cheap, so I figured, still trying to get, are you still trying to get on?
I'm on. We can probably go ahead and
Okay.
start. I've just got to try to pull everything. We got a lot of,
Yeah, this is not to make anyone, even for me, I'd freeze further.
Do you want me to put some heat on? A little more heat?
No, I was meaning I'd freeze in anxiety.
Oh.
Swearing around it. Actually, this is what you need to do there, and just freeze it, and then put it. Yeah. So Keith, did you lose power last night?
Nope.
Did you?
Well, we were out of town until
Well,
about
yeah,
10:30,
right.
until about 10:30 or so.
Yeah,
What time was it
it
that,
was about 10 o'clock on the nose. The whole neighborhood suddenly went pitch black for no rhyme or reason. It was raining, but there was no thunder or anything. Like,
somebody you didn't have any, we were kind
we
of,
didn't have any business power last night.
so we were,
whatever,
Usually we use power because of food companies.
somebody here to tell the
Yeah.
pole on, in our village.
I'm tired of this. The rain's wonderful, but every time I want to do something, it starts raining again, everything
I know.
stops.
I don't know why I thought this was gonna be a one day thing.
Yeah. So,
All right, I think we can get started now.
Are we live?
Yeah, we are live.
we're alive and live. All right, well, we can get started, and it seems that it's a small group waiting for others to come. So we'll come together closely. Let me just draw your attention to a couple of things in the agenda. There's one thing to add, I think. But, we've got, quite a little bigger Lexington corridor update this time, particularly after a kind of input session last week that I went to, where they dropped some little nuggets of insight that I really think, we really need to, pay attention to. Very important, we need to see about restoring Keith to the position of vice chair, because we didn't get around to that last time. We were so busy with everything else. We were through the coop and didn't do that.
We can
So,
wait another month.
no.
I can see the enthusiasm on that face.
Security.
And then another really important thing is we need to, I think this is the day we need to actually draw to a close the fact sheet project. And so we had put off till this month that we look at the list of options of, and those are Mike's decision, but our role, as we know, is advisory, mulling over and advisory, where we contribute them. And that strategic plan, we also need the updates to build those to a close. And then Keith, if you want, that sounds like it's going to be an interesting old movie.
Oh, yeah.
Send to everybody. I'll put that under other business and then we can.
Okay.
Space.
I actually don't know anything about it except just the email that I received
Okay.
about that.
We can just touch base on that.
Yeah,
the,
sounds good.
The only other thing, which isn't on the agenda, but, I guess we were talking with Mike the other day, and Ilka McConnell is now new assistant city manager, and one of her assignments is us. You know, she has oodles of assignments, they all do.
Yeah.
But, I know her from, because she's on the Lexington corridor group, and she's also in the, air service development working group. So if you're very sharp, lady.
Yeah.
So if you want to say just a couple of words,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm so busy with her, we see her at all. But she's in the list, I've invited her to one of the meetings, and she said she'll come to Japan.
Yeah. And, that would make sure, you know, give her name, he has it already.
Yeah,
But she's the director of, economic development, so I've known her for a little while. She came on board, and we've already been through several retreats, you know, director retreats. So we got to know each other, and she's just a real sharp individual. And I was lucky to have her. And, I'm happy that she's in this role as an intern. Yeah. I think just about everybody who's in the management side right now is interim. But that'll all be ironed out, you know, quickly. And then kind of get back to some sort of normal. But yeah, we're excited to have her, in this role. And you know, economic development and airports, that's handy in hand, right, with people. So it's gonna work out really well. So we have a, meeting. Usually the, assistant directors or manager, you know, is over, like Diane saying, over, you know, one of us. And every month we have our meetings with them, you know, one-on-one. So, Bill and I will have a meeting one-on-one, I think in May sometime, got on our calendars. And then I'm gonna give her a good tour. She's already had seen us, a little light to her, you know, through some of the other functions we've done internally, but we'll give her a good tour. And then, so I'll report on that. She can too. We'll have her see if it's there, but the others have too.
yeah, when I said we've gone through, we didn't change it
Yeah,
off.
no,
Frozen, was
Yeah.
Josh. He actually came to almost
Yeah.
every meeting, he was very close. And then there was Blaine, he came when he could.
yeah,
Then there was Nikki, I think he came a couple of times.
yeah. There was another one prior to Josh, that came,
Yeah,
and, he had left. And I think that there,
yeah.
but, anyway, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, she's sharp, she's got a PhD in economic development.
Yeah.
But she's no slouch. Yeah, she's really sharp, but also very pleasant to work with. So,
Yeah.
so anyway, yeah, I mean, anytime, you know, we send materials out, we'll see her name from them. And she can come, right, not
Yeah.
yours.
And then, you know, like I say, I meet every month, so I usually catch them up on things. Sometimes we meet prior, you know, to this meeting, a couple days prior, and just let them know what we're going to discuss.
Yeah.
And, you know, things like that. So they're in the know. They're always in the know, even if they don't come to this meeting.
All right, anything else to add to the agenda? Take off? Generators, power outages? Judy discussed. All right, well, thank you. So let's move on and see if we can go through some of these. You had the March minutes that Devin sent you. You have time for those. We can do those next. When you're ready, to take a motion. A second, and then we can discuss. One. Devin's doing a great job on the minutes. I'm supporting. But it does a really good job, Devin.
Mhm.
Anybody want to move that we move there? All right, Keith?
Second.
Okay. All in favor of approving the minutes? Zeus? All right, any no's, abstentions? All right, moving along. Thank you. Okay, Mike, it's over to you.
All right, here we go. Let's see. We got the March financials. A real good month in March. Basketball was good to us. And then a lot of corporate activity as well. But we did 58,000 in the F-gas sales and 314,000 in Jet A. Our airport fees were up to close to 51,000. And our expenses were all within good reason there, bringing us to a total revenue minus expenses of $143,000, still over that. So Keith, I mean, we're getting so close, aren't we, to that $1 million mark? It's
Yeah.
830,490 right now.
Yeah, you guys still got about 3 months to go.
Yeah, and summer is kind of slow for us.
Right.
I don't know, things are looking good, we got graduation and, other things, that might come up. So, I don't know, I'm hopeful. We'll see, it'll be close, it'll be close. Just looking at our fuel, our avgas gallons, for March were 9,000, brought us up to 72,692. And we budgeted about 115. So we're really looking better than we did last year, I think, in avgas. It's starting to come back again. And our Jet A gallons was 45,000 for March, and we're up to 457, almost 458,000. We budgeted 575. Our operations, we had 3,500, 3,583, and then, so year to date, we're at almost 31,000. And we budgeted 42,000. So I don't know, we might, I think we might hit that mark. Close to that too. Any questions on
Here's a question of self-service fuel. Would y'all say, this is kind of a follow-up to that, would you say that, since it's been installed, we have some fairly optimistic, good expectations for it. Would you say it's been, doing so far where we were expecting roughly?
Well, I don't know if it's hit that mark quite yet, but the word's out, it's getting out, and I think it's more and more. You're kind of on that side, David. Did you see more activity on that? On the heat? I mean, I know.
I've used it a few times.
Yeah,
Have you used it?
I haven't used this.
Just use
Is
it.
it Courtney? Does it need a new nozzle or something?
It's like, those grip enhancer tools
Yeah.
that you pick up and you feel like nobody.
Yeah. Is it that hard?
It's pretty tough.
Oh, we put a new nozzle.
It's pretty tough to squeeze.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure would. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and granted, my plant has 47-gallon tanks.
Yeah.
Anyway, so staying there for a while, no matter what. Increasing, if we can increase the flowage rate and to decrease the amount of strength you need to use that handle, I would be a happy person. It's nice. The only other thing that, integrate.
No, I'd love to hear it.
Constructive feedback wise, I think that, I know that. What's that? What's that thing called? The point, the
Oh, Q2,
Q,
it's
quick touch, whatever it is. I know I've been to airports where they have a display raised on the
I
collar.
talked about that.
That would help, it's a higher contrast display, so, when I'm doing it, I'm peering through the windows to see, how much fuel I'm getting on, in each tank. So having that up higher would help. Also some paint markings may help in that area.
Okay.
To clearly delineate where, how to approach it, how to get there, how,
And like a lead-in line, I guess?
yeah. So it's right here, so I've seen where, these planes are here.
Yeah.
These planes are here. It's basically where this aircraft is.
Right.
Planes will taxi straight onto it. I usually come from my hangar this way and then come that way. There's question, what can you do? Because this is taxiway, right?
Right.
So, you've got non-movement area abutted to it, so like, if I come out here, I need I need clearance to come around to it. So
Yeah.
I'll cut through here or I don't, and then it's non-movement. And then I've got to kind of figure out, all right, well, can I turn my plane around and go back that way if I'm going back to the hangar, or, call from the, it's just quirky. But I think with some signage paint, that could, signage and or paint, that could be worked out.
Let's me and you go out there one day and look at it, kind of come up with a good solution.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what tie downs there are used.
So we can take any of those, whichever we need. Make it work.
At one point I had looked at it thinking that we may fit more planes and make both Rob and Bob's shops easier to access if we rotated those tie downs 90 degrees, so.
Yeah.
Against Sunny's hangar, we've got like 3 tie downs that way, but then they turn perpendicular to those 2 lines.
Yeah.
So you may be able to fit a few more planes and
Pretty good idea.
also have area to approach it and, where you clearly can be still in the non-movement area and not, the last thing that anybody wants, and not that our tower would do it, but like, you may get a stern talking to if all of a sudden an airplane, our tower's gonna be worried about, hey, FYI, make sure you're talking to us if you're gonna be out there.
Yeah.
And not.
Gonna move an area out there.
Well, I mean, for good reason.
Yeah.
Because, but like, it's hard to tell,
I don't want to spend any of your money, but is there any future plans to make that more like a parallel tax? We take the parallel taxway and extend it.
Yeah.
That would help a lot.
That would help.
Yeah. So there are future plans. It's actually probably, I would say, 2.5 years away. We wanted to do that with the Bravo project that we have coming up, but they only had so much money. And so we couldn't include that. So I have a separate line item in our capital improvement plan for that parallel section.
That would help a lot.
Yeah, I think that's
Maybe a lot of those issues.
Yeah,
Give you more rent.
give you more range.
and that's what we would do. We would, in that parallel, we'd also include, where grassy areas are, we'd make that pavement as well. Because, right now we park signal engineer comes in there during football season, so.
Right, because you could basically, so where I pull out, that's technically Bravo 4.
Right.
At that top intersection, but at this intersection, this is Bravo 4. So if you come out this way, you are on taxiway. But basically this is the Bravo 4 intersection that Tower's talking about.
Yeah.
If this were, straight to there, you can kind of do away with Bravo 4 being a taxiway until it cut back in
Right.
to that. And then you just have not movement. And then nobody gets in trouble.
Yeah.
Ideally, nobody gets bumped into.
So what happens if 2 people, two pilots at the same time want to refuel? I mean, is there a place to
Yeah,
get in
behind.
You
line?
typically, the idea is, spinner to tail.
Yeah,
But that, if you have somebody approach it head on, that makes it challenging because
yeah.
they can only turn in their wingspan, and so that, you're backing it up and doing like a K-turn in order to get out of there. I've only seen that once. Most people, and depending on whether I'm doing it to then retreat back to my hangar or go out and fly, will dictate which direction I point, but, usually, the first one sets the precedent,
Yeah.
The same way you do at a grocery store, or, bodega, you're gonna, well, I'm the first one here, and this is where the line's gonna start.
But there's enough room for a line to stop.
Well, yeah, I mean, lines are fairly movable.
Yeah.
And it's not like they're moving quickly, and at least one of them is off, ideally, when it's feeling, so, you push them around pretty easily. But if we had more than two, somebody's gonna be on a taxiway.
That's what I'm saying, if it's down those times you're saying.
Right.
Well, we shut down a couple tie downs so they could kind of line up and then first one goes around, second one pulls up, he comes around, the second, third one pulls up. So they're kind of going like this, as they pull in. That's why I was wondering about a leading line, because the leading line, they could all follow the leading line.
Yeah.
And then they just peel off and they just pull up.
Right, well, yeah, so if you made it so, the idea is to have the nose of the aircraft facing, basically to the west. Then you should be able to continue around that left turn out of there. And even if the goal is to not go back onto the taxi area. Whereas if you come out, if you're facing basically east, there's almost no place to go except onto taxi.
Yeah.
You can't get to that next intersection without it, needing a clearance, while the tower's operational. So it may be worthwhile to talk to them, see what would make it easy and what they've seen, because
Yeah.
I'm betting that people have done things over there. Whoa, where'd that airplane go? Why is it right there?
Yeah, I hadn't heard any issues, but I'd like to know.
They're pretty relaxed and
Yeah.
easy going. And it is, they're not the type of ATCers who are going to beat you up over an ambiguity.
Yeah.
But, if it settles, I would imagine.
Yeah.
To the-
Wood County, we had one that was kind of just like that. It was right near a taxiway, but it was a taxiway where about 8 corporate hangars were, that would use that for, and it passed right by the self-serve, but we never had any issues. We had, it stayed enough off of that when they pull in, they'd leave, another one come up. We never had any issues with it, so I don't know. Except for this one.
But there it's pilot controlled taxiways. And so, yeah, I think that's just the tough part is, anybody flying in is going to probably request taxi self-serve, but not a problem. What do locals do to get there? I like having it though. I like being able to fuel on my time. I like,
24/7.
right. Last week I it meant the difference of coming out of here the afternoon before to fuel and just getting here 10 minutes earlier. That's a nice convenience.
Yeah. I like that. But
I'm curious to see volume about pump fuel.
yeah, and I'm not sure, I mean, I could pull that up.
Yeah,
On our financials, I keep putting it in. On our financials, Floyd County, we actually had a line for self-serve, so we knew exactly what that presented on our financials. And I can do that here too.
Yeah, break down the out of gas sold,
Yeah.
at least the volume.
Yeah.
Gallons. Or, just, what is it, 500 gallon tank? Or
Yes.
something.
I think it is 500.
think it's 1,000.
Is it 1,000?
Yeah.
I mean, how regularly is it getting, because we're filling it,
Yeah,
they try from the truck.
well, it's probably every couple of days.
We're from
Do the truck. Right,
But
so,
back to that Marshall was saying, he was talking about, whose responsibility is that? Is it the company that put the whole apparatus there?
it seems like something that probably could be tension. I mean, it's the same fuel nozzle that
Yeah.
the,
Caleb looked at it, but it'd be so easy just to take, unscrew that, put another one on. Get it better. But then it might be where you can just.
it may be just some sort of tensioning that, can occur. It's, well, I mean, like, it's not stuck. It's like a positive.
Like a lot of spring.
tension. Yeah, it's like somebody put the super spring in there instead of the,
Yeah, that's incentive.
I told you about the ground strap.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
think,
Caleb.
I think I saw Caleb out with him.
Yeah.
So.
I told him you didn't do it. I did.
I did not do it. Didn't do it. That sort of thing happens.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, I don't, the only other thing that I've noticed that's different us versus some other places I've used that, I don't mind it at all, but maybe it's worthwhile for the county to see the IA. Ours doesn't ask you to enter a tail number. Whereas most of those machines, like the first thing you do, you scan the credit card, you enter the tail number. I don't know. I don't know why that is,
Like any other.
but like, you're keeping track when you feel off the truck, right?
Oh, yeah.
Of tail numbers, so,
I'd like to know the tail number.
yeah, it doesn't ask.
Huh.
Which, from my perspective, I hate to complain about something that's gonna change.
Well,
I don't
mind it is, if something happened down the road.
Right, how much fuel, when,
Used to.
right. So it may be something worthwhile. And then, I think we talked about this years ago before, when it was still kind of a pipe dream to put in self-serve, but, I think that you can have like, house accounts with that.
Uh-huh.
Like a locals card.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, not a credit card on that, but like, it'll take, separate cards, like an issued card, just, that's David's card. Fuel subscriptions of some sort, pay X with your, just as a method of generating subscription type revenues. Pay $50 a month, you get an extra off your good flow.
Okay.
So something like that, basically prepaying it, in the inverter.
Okay.
So just an idea, add it to the Tiger lease, tie down, boost revenue there, give a perceived incentive, probably end up, doing better subscription. That's a favor.
That's all good.
Just rehash it.
And that's sweet. What's the average? 1, 2, 3, 4.
Hey, I didn't bring it up.
I was doing constructive feedback.
It's all good stuff. It really is.
I want it to be successful. I want it to be used. On more than one occasion, I have been the first of 2 aircraft there, either fall and field.
Probably would not come about it, man, but today,
No, I thought you were gonna say there probably would have been time for the second aircraft if If the pump wasn't so slow and hard to squeeze. But that's it,
Yeah, David brought it up in meetings early on.
Oh, yeah,
I brought it up,
3 years ago.
I brought it up before I was on the authority.
Yeah.
I brought it up in my interview with the commissioners.
Did you
Yeah.
really?
You've been hitting it for a long time too, the whole time you've been on, you've been on the.
It's like my greatest victory in this town.
It is.
It's that they're self-serve at.
It's a swan song, right?
That'll be your legacy,
That's it.
Yeah, it will. You need to name that thing.
That's right.
yeah.
The
Okay.
David Aspen self-serve.
Yeah, my brother is Greg Aspen, so like all of his corporate emails when like that started was gas man. But I'm just, that's only for him,
You know.
the gas man, that is match.
Any other questions on the financial?
Good.
Okay.
Remember that episode of Seinfeld with Kramer?
I'll show you a
Oh,
shirt.
yeah.
Like, yes.
I have the shirt.
Do
You do?
The, like, it's just the license plate over and over.
That was a classic, that one,
That was,
honestly.
yeah.
Even my mother used to like Kramer, you know,
Oh,
used to like
yeah.
watching.
Oh, that's so funny.
Anyway, I guess we better.
So funny.
Put it to order.
Where's the gal? We need a gal.
Okay, Michael.
All right, let's see, capital improvement project updates, Alpha, done, Bravo. I've got a just agenda item into the mayor commission that went to their agenda setting meeting past Tuesday. And that's looking pretty good. That's for the GDOT, let's see what I put in there, for the GDOT contract in there. I put, approval for ER Snell as the, bidder. And, also put, RSNH, the, construction phase services. That was agenda item. So they went ahead and approved to put that on the consent agenda for their voting meeting. Okay. So that was looking pretty good. The next step for the Bravo project would be to get a form, contract from the contractor. And putting that from the mayor commission. The mayor commission, we got an email that they'll be taking some time off, May, June. And so things will be kind of, you know, I guess as far as getting things approved. But honestly, I mean, we hadn't talked to Snell, hadn't talked about RSNH. I know with the, Alpha project here and also 220, the way to go for after football season. Kind of like to do that again, but we'll see what Snell wants to do. Once we get everything going. It'd be nice to do that because it's really gonna interfere some with, you know, our parking.
We're gonna do like a 6-month project, something like
Yeah,
that, once it starts.
Yeah, 4 or 5 or 6, yeah, depending on the weather. But, so everything's looking good there. We're doing design on the parking lot out here. And, that's looking very well. They gave me 2 concepts, one with less parking spaces, one with a little more. The one with a little more, they have to do a little more investigation, you know, as far as the stormwater and see exactly what we can and can't do. I did get, and I'll forward that to you. I did get something from Chris, on Platt. Oh, that's right, you got it. Yeah, you did get it.
I was gonna ask you about that,
Okay,
because
okay.
it looks different than what I thought we were talking about. It's turned
It is.
in a way that takes up way more space.
Yeah, yeah. And luckily it's it's an acre or something. So it's still pretty small.
Yeah.
I think they wanted a minimum 2. They wanted 4, but 2. Now they got it down. So I think, and I sent that on to RSNH, Andrew, just a little while ago. Because, you know, they're doing the parking lot, of course, he's doing this, tower. And, in the middle, kind of in, you know, the curve, there's gonna be, pension pond. you know, so the FAA, we have been working together, FAA and RSNH, to make sure that we have enough time to satisfy both projects. And so, I hadn't responded to him yet, Chris, but I'm waiting to find out from RSNH if they're okay with that, you know, and with what they're doing with Waller County. I'll respond to all of them through that.
How many parking spaces are you looking at?
So, let's see, it was, I think it was 80 spots. I think it was, no, maybe, okay. I think, it might have been, I think the lesser one was 65, maybe the bigger one was 90 something, but I think that's right.
Is that 2-story, 3-story?
No, it's just one level.
Yeah.
Yeah, that, parking deck was gonna be like 10 days. So we scrapped that from here.
So is there an option for it to be
Yeah,
absolutely added down the
I
road?
think we could, probably. I mean, that's just me, what, and there's nothing about engineering. But yeah, I mean, to me, I think we could. Now, on this one here, it's a state project, which means it's not federal, which means later on down the road, if we wanted to, we could charge for those spaces. And so, in designing it, we're not gonna put any gates up yet, but we're gonna bring in, ductwork, you know, where you can add, electric, you know, to gates and whatnot, and have all that ready to go. Now, if it's paid by federal dollars, you can't charge for something like that. You have to, and so, for the state, we can. So with that being said, we're gonna do that. And then also, my important got a grant, you know, EV chargers and things. Was approved. I think the airport has so many spots, that they can have on the airport in this grant, get some charge. So, kind of work with RSNH, they know about it, Mike knows about the parking lot project as well, and that we're gonna use that in the parking lot project. I got an email from Mike right now, I can't remember what the airport was allotted, how many chargers, this and that. And, so once I get that, I'll send out. There is gonna be, you know, some.
Like, yeah,
So where's Roots and Orbit's cars going to feature in this?
Well, we're gonna restructure some of that, you know, that.
Because they're probably not those 80 spaces.
They sure would. Guarantee they would.
well, that's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah.
I mean, you feel like when we get commercial service, just say,
Yeah.
whatever form of it that you would expect, as far as size, you know, passenger. You think this addition and what you're working out with Hertz should be a good
I think
shape?
it would be. I think it really would be for what we need, yeah. But yeah, the key right there is you both pointed out, you know, got to get with Hertz, we got to get more organized, you know, and a little bit better, you know, bring place. And that's kind of past due, but Davin's been working on that a little bit, and then we've had other things come up, so we kind of put it to the side, you know, and we pick it up, and then, but we need to knock that out, you know, getting that taken care of. And I told him it's coming, you know, I told Hertz it's coming, so. Went up to him, said, you know, how many cars do you have on you? I don't know, you have to look. Well, I bet you do know.
What is it, probably 75 or something?
I don't know, it's a
Counted
lot.
sometimes.
It's a lot every time, yeah. But somebody I was talking to,
Sometimes.
I was telling them, I'm just gonna go every week. Cause I know what they are and where they are. I'm just counting every week, you know, just keep that, so, hey, you good? Do something about it. I say that in a public meeting. So.
Yeah, sorry, we asked the question, I'm very.
Yeah.
You know,
Let's see. There's
And
another.
the tower?
Yeah, the tower, do you want to?
Yeah, I could, so Mike and I met after the last meeting because he's getting multiple, I guess, asks from the FAA from different offices about different aspects of the project and everything, a couple of which had to do with the transceivers for the tower, which are currently on the existing tower. And they told Mike that they'll be remotely located from the tower, which is going to take up like another acre somewhere. So I looked into that, and apparently, so there's this whole office in the FAA called Spectrum Engineering that manages all the different frequencies for not only communications, but navies, radars, all that kind of stuff. And apparently their policy requires any control tower that's over 100 feet cannot have the antennas on it. And it has to do with how far it transmits, line of sight, and other nearby places. And it's their policy. So the new tower, I can't remember the exact height, but it is over 100 feet.
Yeah.
So they can't put the antennas on the tower. So that one, you're probably gonna have to work with them. I did ask him about, that somebody expressed concerns about the power lines in this current site.
Yeah.
I didn't really get an answer to that, so I'm gonna go back and ask that one.
Okay.
And then I do want to ask you, can you recall who said something to you about you couldn't have the beacon on top of the tower?
Yeah, it was one of the engineers, but it was one of the engineers, I think she was at the design, in this room. I can't remember.
I mean, if you can't, it's something, the reason I ask is, because I asked that question again, and I got assurances, they said they actually prefer to put it on top of the tower. And they said, if you can give me more detail about who said that, we'll follow up. on it.
Okay.
So,
I think it was somebody low.
well, that's it, because I'm talking way up the food
Yeah,
chain.
so, okay, I'll check with.
I don't think it's gonna be a problem.
Okay,
I think the beacon's gonna be,
okay,
because I've gotten, this is now multiple assurances
yeah.
from people that are the decision makers, that that's what they like to do too. So,
Which was out of sight.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's better for everybody. It's certainly better for the tower. I think it's better for pilots. It's not shielded in any way.
Well, that's just, yeah, as a pilot, you see the beacon and like, I'm looking for the tower.
Yeah.
Field to be next to. And like, all of these things get together, and I'm looking over there for fields.
Yeah, well, I'll find out pretty quick. I mean, I had to sit down with RSNH and a couple of his folks about, finding a location for a new tower. And, so I don't want to spend a lot of money, or I don't want them to spend, money,
Yeah.
for this project.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, based on the responses I got this time, I'd be shocked if the beacon doesn't live on top of the tower.
I thought that was the last update that we.
It was, but then he had somebody tell him otherwise.
I know, it's these different departments, it's talking.
Well, that gets back to the other thing I brought up with him, which is these kind of projects are supposed to have what they call a project implementation manager.
Uh-huh.
And so I asked him, I said, when I was still with the FAA, we had, they call them PIMs. We had PIMs for projects. So I realized things may have changed. He said, oh no, we have a PIM, this is their name, and we'll talk to them. Because I said, you're getting people coming at you from a lot of
Yeah.
different directions. I said, we're not complaining,
No.
but it's just, it's kind of confusing sometimes.
Yeah,
And sometimes you get told different things by different people that don't always mesh up.
right.
So I wasn't complaining, but I just raised it, so.
That's good, because, when this guy approached me, as Jeff, I'm thinking, who are you? And what? Nobody said you were gonna contact me, nobody said I was gonna have to do this.
Exactly.
And the other thing I wanna find out is, with the tower, it was my responsibility to get utilities close to it. Now, they've already picked a couple locations, so they would like to see it, and I picked 3 out of the 5. I think they're gonna come out. And closure, but I haven't heard anybody say that I'm gonna have utilities, so if it's over in that direction, it's gonna be a lot to get utilities.
Oh, yeah.
So I won't have to do a show back. Nobody's told me that, I really have to, so
Interesting.
yeah, I would like to know that for sure, because that would be, I don't know.
So our current tower, what, like 50 feet, distance or more?
I think it might be like 60 or 70.
Yeah, maybe
Oh, okay, so it's,
I think the new one's supposed to be like, I can't remember, I think it's like 120 or something.
It's high, it's twice as high, twice as big,
yeah.
With an elevator.
Back.
Okay,
Atlanta Tower, you have to take 2 elevators to get up to the tower.
Do
Of
you really? Oh, wow.
course, that's the tallest tower in the United States.
is it?
I didn't know.
Yep. It was the tallest one in the world, but I think like Dubai or somebody decided to move the tower.
Yeah.
Like 40.
Oh, let's see, the tower.
The tower caps. Here on one side of the cab, you can't see the airport on the other side is the. It's huge.
And about the marketing then?
They having a marketing.
They can run five local control positions.
Okay, you go.
We had the OSHA Lifelong Learning group, brought about 35 folks this week out. This weekend, last week, we had a group of students from Gaines School Elementary. And we've got Horizon Atlanta, which is a camp for kindergartners, is going to be coming in June. So Jay, who is one of our part-time operation folks, is handling that. So he's doing a great job.
Got the supervisors training, that went on for, I guess every week, wasn't it? Christina, our customer service or administrative assistant was in it, and, they graduate tomorrow. And so they'll be coming, and they'll be in our commercial building, graduation ceremony. So I was a master mentor, so I got to speak to them one time, and then I'll speak. But it was, it's a good group, it's through our organization. Organizational development, yes.
At ACC?
Yeah, ACC.
So that's like that last goal on the strategic plan that they made in the WEA.
Yes.
Yeah.
Training and development stuff.
You're right.
Yeah. And there's a, yeah, and, oh, our art truck, I guess, so that one, let's see. Mayor Commission approved that grant for that, or GDOT grant for that paper. And, so that was signed by the mayor about a week or so ago. We're working through an agreement right now with NA, who's the supplier of the Oshkosh truck. And, going through our lawyers and there's some things and other things need to be ironed out. at some point. But I meant to bring that.
So when are you gonna actually get it?
Probably 2 years, a little less than 2 years. Yeah,
I'm glad they approved it, and you said
Yeah.
it's unanimous.
yeah.
That's a good sign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're actually pretty good to the airport as far as.
It's good.
Yeah. That's all I have.
All right, any questions?
Is it electric?
No.
I do electric Oshkosh homes.
Do they really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not. Oh, man, imagine the battery.
That's what I was gonna say.
The size of the thing, yeah.
That's gotta be, oh, that's a lot.
Mhm.
Yeah, a lot of that.
All right, anything else on Mike's reports? That's good, that sounds good, man. All right, we can move on to old business. Been feeling sheepish because for several months I've been giving you this anorexic thin little update. But, you know, I sent this to you, Dan's putting it up there, so you actually have it out every time, so you know, we go over the terms on it, but long story short, you know, after all these months of speaking with local homeowners and everything else, they've actually managed to engage with homeowners to get strips of both sides of the corridor for right of access.
They've completed that?
So, yeah, if you look at the update, and then they're also, you know, you're looking at the south side of the corridor and also the north side. They're working, actually on the north side, under the T-spot on which you see the yellow highlighting is perhaps more interesting still, you know, Johnson Drive, where the GDOT interchange work ends. And so they're starting to actually survey along the north side. And put an arrow up here, just reference for this, because the interesting thing about that, the survey, it's on the radar. It's here. See my arrow, no tech arrow right here. This here is that David self-storage place. And this big patch of green doesn't exist in it, but that's a huge development. Athens Way, that Trintos did. And where they were required to put a stoplight there because of the size and the density and so on. But the thing is that what it does is it preserves this little access route here. back and around past the quarry and into the airport. And so it preserves that access route for the new entrance, if that's what they want to do. It also preserves this access route here to parcel A.
Yeah.
So Jared Dust is interesting because he tends to bring it up all the time. I know he does with mine too. But, you know, I mean, these little projects are only about $6 or $8 million, so they're tiny compared to a lot of the other expenditures. But, you know, I think they're spending their money. At least you can see the progress. And the fact that that is in there, it may not happen before you retire or
Yeah.
before my term ends, but, you know, at least it's on the radar.
Yeah.
And so on the group side, you know, the access for a new entrance is there, but also to parcel A, so it's also actually what may happen in parcel A. So, the other thing I wanted to say, sort of related to the corridor, but also, you know, our work on the authority, is that I did attend the public input meeting for the future land use map last week. Bruce Lonnie, who's the head of planning now, gave an overview. Devin, if you can pull up those future land use map. Well, actually, before we get to that, sorry, Devin, where are those old maps? Have you got those, Devin?
Yeah.
Once I'll send you, sentimental note, I showed Keith, and Devin and Mike last week, but you know, if you think about the Lexington corridor, a lot of people kind of write it off as uninspiring. But it's been around a long, long time. The first of the maps, Devin, is the Indian Trails one. It's a yellow, that one. If you look at Lexington corridor from Athens to Augusta, you can actually see the ancestral version of the corridor, of the road on it, which was an old Indian trail. And then actually in the 1730s to 1850s, you still see it. It's there. It actually used to be an old federal road leading into Cherokee territory. And then on the early maps, the third one, the state network as it was developing, it's still there. You know, I mean, for what it's worth, if you're interested in history, which I am, it's always been there. And now what they're doing is they're looking at it and designating it as a major corridor out of Athens. So, you know, it used to serve early, well, it was a Native American or a Native Indian trail, and then served early trade as it was a federal road, then it became a, you know, an arterial. So those kinds of things always interest me, you know, you think it's an uninspiring road, well, it's come a long way. Now they're looking at it as a major corridor. So, I just thought I'd share that with you. Devin, if you, if you pull up the land use map for Athens-Clarke County. I don't know if you guys have looked at it, but Gavin was having trouble with Excel earlier. I can't get this thing to work on my machine. I think it's because I'm working on, I have tried and tried and tried. You know, there's a button inside a red square that you're supposed to be able to forget it. I cannot get it. And it kept actually breaking down in the meeting last week, which was kind of funny. But what I did was, because it actually has some pertinence for the work that we do in the Ops Committee, if you're interested, and you probably do need to be, because it's going to be pertinent, take one of these and put on. The resources that go along with this interactive map, they did actually give us a hard copy last week, and they're actually interesting because of what they're thinking about, I think, you know, has bearing on that when we get a planning proposal and we're supposed to look at it and say, well, what are we supposed to make of this? The major criteria that we'll be looking at are the airfield restrictions, the overlay zone, you know, non-fair, lighting, you know, reflective surfaces, density and height. But what's interesting about these is the way they define things. I'll pass this around if you like. The full text, they talk about the concept of town centres, major corridors, minor corridors. Gaines School Road is a minor corridor. Lexington is a major corridor. Shopping centres or public growth type things as town centres. In all honesty, I wish that the people who objected to that, remember the development on Gaines School Road where Ross Watson came to our meeting and objected to the fact that it was going to have a restaurant and everything. I wish they had the information that was presented at this last meeting, because it might have made them understand it a bit better, like, well, you know, they're not actually proposing anything out of the ordinary. One of the things that I found very interesting that Bruce Lonnie talked about, when I think when we moved proposals down the road, they're talking along Lexington Road as a corridor, 3 to 7 stories for buildings, 7 stories. Some people have raised holy hell about that, but they better be aware. Gaines School Road, 2 to 3 or maybe 4 stories along Gaines School Road. And they made a very interesting statement, which I shared with Mike, that Bruce Lonnie, who's head of planning, and also Commissioner Carol Myers, who gave the introduction, said, you know, that Clarke is the smallest county of all 159 in the state. And so they're looking at running out of space, and so they're going to prioritize and target undeveloped tract of ground. Well, there's an undeveloped tract of ground that's airport property designated right on a major corridor. And it hasn't been developed yet. You know what it is? It's parcel A. So I didn't ask anything about parcel A. I thought I'm going to draw attention to it. But, you know, I just thought some of these things are interesting in terms of how they're defining what a development is and how it's attached to a shopping centre or some other node of development. None of this is new, so it's old terminology. But it was just interesting, you know, that it's, I think as we entertain proposals as they come, and you can relax and say, well, you know.
It's my background. Seven-story buildings, they're my, it starts in.
But, you know, those are these lives here. And I think that, you know, they are interesting from the position of the definitions and how they're using those definitions. Because they're going to come up in the meetings when we have developers and planning people sitting. And it would have been helpful with that Gaines School project to say, oh, okay. So you see this on a minor corridor, you're thinking that 2 or 3 stories is okay. It's undeveloped land that goes so long gone, you know, and put it in perspective of the larger view, in addition to the equal restrictions. So I just thought it was very interesting, that it was actually a very illuminating meeting, but some residents were sitting there looking bug-eyed, you know, oh my God, you know. And, you know, they're going to need to pay attention.
Yeah.
It's not going to be enough just to raise it on and say, well, we don't know what's that. It's not going to happen.
Yeah,
And they're talking about going up because they're running out of space in Clarke County. They're really not, but they're saying.
Well, very nice, it's close to the university.
Yeah. You know,
And this is
yeah.
very close in.
Yeah. So, you know, I've been watching Parcel A with Mike
yeah.
since 2018. And I continue to watch it and wonder what's going to happen to it. But now we can see that it's sort of confirmed that, you know, there's an access route potentially there. It's too small for the courthouse complex. They still haven't made up their minds about that.
Height could be a big deal there.
Yeah, it's so close in, you know.
Yeah, very.
And if they're going to target it, obviously you'll hear about it, you know.
Yeah, and you know, the FAA have to approve 7460 on anything that's
Yeah.
built.
Yeah.
They approve a whole lot.
Yeah.
As far as height.
So, I mean, I think if nothing else, but Keith, I think you'd be interested if you look at those definitions of, you know, how they're conceiving of different projects and the matrix, you know. It's just very interesting. They said that there were 50 people there last week, and they said when they had one in plant once, they didn't have any problem. Yeah, they said they were shocked. The only people there were commissioners and planning staff. So I guess it's interesting, you know, it pertains to the corridor, to Lexington as a major corridor, but it's certainly interesting in terms of the airport. So anyway, I thought I'd share that with you. It's going to come up. I can see it, you know, it's going to, you know, feature as we move forward. So any comments, questions, thoughts? But yeah, you do. And, you know, that map, have you looked at that interactive map? Have you managed to get into it?
Well, I've got it right here, right?
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
That's the first time I tried.
Yeah. I think as we move forward, anytime we get a proposal, we need to pull it up and we need to look at it and say, all right, what are we talking about? What are we talking about in terms of how they're viewing it? And then how are we viewing it for you? Very interesting. Okay. Anything else about that? The next item was new business. Is our gentleman friend and colleague. Keith.
Gentlemen,
As I said, last time we got sidetracked about over chaos in terms of people leaving and who's next and who's trying and who's going to be a whole, incidentally, it's May 6th is the next mayor and commission meeting, and they supposedly will make the appointments. They do that online. I remember you told me. Kelly Goose named all of us.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's May 6th, so, you know, we've got three positions. One of them is only a partial term, Jeff. The other two are full term, 3 years. No. But, Keith has basically agreed to return to the role of vice chair. And so I'd like to ask for a motion to make Keith Andrews as vice chair once again. Anybody prepared to move? All right.
I think David got it from
I'm gonna have a second.
Blink twice if this is a.
You have to say word.
We have to have a second to figure out how to do it. Who's got a second? David,
That's should be offered.
Okay. having discussion, blinkers,
See,
running out, escaping quickly, no, there's something there. Anybody, any other comments? All in favor, say aye.
Thank you, Keith.
Thank you kindly, Keith.
all right.
We need you back in the position. We need continuity and stability, so we apologize for being sidetracked last. But, you know,
How long is this for?
technically it's only till January.
Too late, you already said yes.
Yeah, I knew that, I was just testing out.
There's an issue of continuity that, you know, we've got 3 new people coming on. There's going to be chaos as it is with that.
Right.
But we'll talk about continuity beyond January later.
Right, yeah,
Thank you.
sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
I enjoy working with Keith. He's a little bit keen, able, and willing gentleman. Yes. He makes,
Who's that, let's see the other side of that.
we'll know when we do. Okay. Speaking of which, we can now turn basically over to Keith for the next, if we look at 2 different tasks under business and finance. One of them is this issue of distribution for the plan, for the collections. I mean,
Yeah, David's got it
are
up.
they actually going ahead with the printing?
Yeah, we're printing it up.
of-
We're getting 1,000 copies.
Yeah.
You know, seems
And
like it's pretty
they come off
reasonable.
by 11.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, we went down a bit of a rabbit hole for a while in discussions about a bigger version. And glossy,
Oh, that's right, yeah, and talking with Mike, if we need some more, for other distribution, we can, get them, it's just, it's good, yeah.
the other thing I suggested to Mike, and I think we sort of agreed the other day informally, was, you know, for a much lesser price, we could do a cut and paste job and actually, with, you know, put this, actually, if you wanted to go back to there instead of here. But have a whole wad of them run off, there's a two-sided, copied version of the brochure that you could then hand out to every single kid that comes in all these groups or any other visitor, and keep the glossy trifold nice ones for officials,
More formal.
teachers, the, you know, the more formal ones. Because it's still, you know, it still costs money.
Yeah.
It sounds like, I think, based on that, I don't remember a breakdown, but for some reason I'm thinking, it sounds like maybe around 50, roughly 50 cents, per unit, I'm thinking, if you look at their, for the 1,000 copies.
Yeah.
Take out some for what their dollar amount was and all that, so around that range, and which
Well,
might be
you-
worth doing that one if we wanted some more.
You can also get Devin or, you know, one of your aides to run off 200,
Sure.
or it's gonna cost you as a toner and a paper. And I think, after all the work we put in, I mean, I think they're very agreement that the whole thing will collapse if it's not, distributed to where it can go to get the word out.
Yeah, I like the list. I like the list.
Yeah.
It's a good list.
Yeah, so I don't know if with that list, so there's a lot there. I don't know that we want to take an expansive amount of time to
No.
figure out certain things unless there's certain priorities. Maybe we, on this list, talk about some priorities. Also, Mac
Yeah,
had a couple of other ideas just to go ahead and add to the list.
okay.
Mac, I think that was,
Well,
I'm
I
thinking
was,
of-
yeah, and I think we had talked about this some in one of our meetings about maybe identifying or targeting surrounding, communities, either chambers of commerce or
Yeah.
whatever, and maybe that don't have much airport infrastructure or none at all, and give them some copies as well, and obviously, if there are different events that are happening around the state as well, those might be some targets of opportunity.
right, yeah.
Okay, so one thing I did put my pen through, so to speak, was room, transportation, and the other, because I wasn't sure, I asked Mike last week. He said, no, they're a competitor, they do not pick up and drop off people here, so they're not an item that needs to be on the list.
Probably using this airport is infringing on the business.
Yeah.
So fine, they're off the list, you'll see the strike through now.
Yeah.
But, so then you want to add surrounding community,
Yeah,
you talk about a pony,
Yeah, the
Well,
one,
like even beyond that as well, I mean, places that, you would think of the population might feed in here is a place that might use the airport.
I mean, it's pretty, I think fairly easy list, I think at least say Oconee County, and then you've got, Morgan County, Oglethorpe,
Commerce.
Elbert,
Yeah.
Madison,
Jackson,
Jackson, as a
the whole
pretty
circle.
good private airport, yeah, I mean, so it's even more than that, Franklin and so
Yeah.
forth. So there are a lot of, are you all right with adding that, or you want me just to
No,
add?
no,
it?
I mean, I just, put this together after we first came up with the article, or some, Keith mentioned. So, I mean, some of the things at the very top, I just presume would be the sort of top priorities, the most obvious ones. Where you'd want to see a part of, of the brochures, paper copy or the glossy one on the customer service desk, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, this is, our list or our input is just advice, and Mike has to make the decision about which of these he wants and also how many, I mean, I think we are only advisory to you, Mike. It might be someone who says, nah, I'm not gonna bother.
So if we've got, say, 1,000 copies to work with, I mean, even if you just evenly divided this list of about 20, that's a lot of copies per, each location and everything. I mean, I guess Mike, since Diane's kind of mentioning here, do you see certain ones of these that would be priorities for,
I like the chambers, of course, the priorities, and then as they come up, because sometimes we don't know what's gonna come, down the line as far as, people wanting to come and speak, or us to speak to them, that kind of
Yeah.
thing, we always have. But the chambers, I say, because, if somebody comes to the chambers or economic development, I put that in too, for any of the counties you're talking about, and saying, hey, we want to come to your city, county, what airport's around? Well, they can hand this thing out to them.
Yeah.
And, say, hey, we got a growth.
Yeah,
And, they might bring a warehouse, and then it'd be, cargo shipments or something. So that's really important to me. I think that'd be number one.
yeah, so I mean, you want to keep a bigger part of, for those.
Yeah.
I would urge that you have them on the customer service desk and the other.
Everywhere. Oh, yeah, they'll be everywhere.
The cheap ones, like, take one.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know. I know they're in the basement of the city hall.
Yeah, I
Jeff's
like that
office,
too, because
there's-
people walk
there's a
in.
rack
Mhm.
where every
Yeah.
department has stuff. And that's kind of internal, but the public can also go down there.
That's a good place to put them too.
And then the tour groups, as I said, I think it's bad, and you can sort of say, well, the cheap paper ones, you can give whoever gives the tour, like, Gavin, you mentioned that Meadow is gonna be giving the tours.
Mhm.
50 kids are coming, well, give the teachers or the supervisors a nice one and give the kids each.
Yeah. Well, Davin, I don't think he mentioned this. He did, I'm sorry, but Davin and Russ went to what was it, job fair?
Job fair.
With Athens-Clarke County,
Yeah,
and,
Yeah.
that would have been nice to have too.
Yeah.
I like to- Here.
So, I mean, I don't know if that even features.
But things come up, so
Yeah,
I can't, even, you can say miscellaneous, because there'd be so many things that come
Yeah.
up through the year
yeah.
or two, that,
You definitely want to have a stash from, just to use
Oh,
that
yeah.
pocket to see through.
Yeah, I do. I grab a handful going somewhere and I'll pass them out or put them on the desks or whatever.
Can we have a few each so that we can
Yeah.
help it out?
Oh, yeah. Do you guys want, business cards?
Not really,
Okay.
probably I've got the airport authority on my UGA card.
Mhm.
Yes.
Because I provided business cards for the ones in Florida County and so
Yeah.
most of them used them, some didn't, but I didn't know. I wanted to put it out there in case you did one. I wouldn't get a lot of.
Seems
I
like
think
if they,
that serves both purposes. I've got my label,
Yeah.
my name tag.
Yeah. That's right, yeah.
are there any of these where you could, see it a challenge to do the distribution or could use any help from us?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Divide and conquer, delegate some things
Yeah,
out.
absolutely.
I
Uh-huh.
mean, I don't know if we see certain ones,
Yeah, I mean,
let
it's,
us know if we can help.
as you go to places, like Diane saw the one, at the courthouse, I mean, the admin building. But
Yeah.
there's other places around, there's,
So if we're like at have meetings here and if we had thought of, say, a place or two that we want to try,
yeah,
we could just grab some from you for that, and then,
Yeah,
yeah, okay.
yeah, any place. I mean, I would put a whole bunch of them out there.
Right.
About 4 or 5 of them.
yeah.
There.
So where would you keep them, in Devin's office?
We
want some?
usually keep them in that, right in there.
Oh, okay, so we could just ask for,
Mhm.
you know.
Yep, yeah,
Okay.
or you call, we'll put a bunch out there for customer service and you can just pick them up from there.
Yeah,
For
okay.
some reason.
But then that item up there, I don't know if you want it, but like the Ross Watsons and all those silver
Yeah,
dogs that
yeah.
are always coming to greet the
We
football
usually
fans. And
put
all.
those out for them too.
Yeah.
Give them a-
I put out the cheap ones for them. because
Yeah.
They're gonna be numbers.
Yeah. It's,
Keep the glossy ones for the, not that they're unimportant.
No, but they're on a mission to go see a game most of the time.
Yeah,
So they're gonna be folding it up, sticking it in a pocket, and so, we want those to look nice in the chamber or, in the development or some formal meeting we have.
So hopefully with this, the 1,000 we're getting, we can get those mostly distributed out, I guess, over time, over the next months or
Yeah.
whatever time.
Yeah.
do you want the commissioners to have a copy each?
I usually give them one. I send it on to, county clerk, and
Yeah,
then she distributes it to them and puts it in their packet.
yeah.
Darren, or do y'all know roughly the turn time if, say, used up or getting to a point where order some more? What the turn time is? I know they have to mail them
It's
to,
usually a week.
only a week.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Who do you use to print them?
It's a Caldwell printing and, it's in Rome. One that I used to use when I was there. And he's always done a great job for us, and so I've always used them. Even when I came here, I said, hey, we do? He said, yeah, I'll do it.
So who can you get to do the cut and paste or review?
We'll do that here. Have EGA students, part-timers.
Yeah, it's easy.
Sometimes if it's a rainy day, man, they can knock out one show.
Yeah. Because I think a good stack of those would be good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Build it bold.
Yeah.
So Mike, what else could we, or Diane or Mike, anything else we can discuss that helps you with how to get the most out of this now that we have 1,000 copies finally?
No, I think it's a good list, but some of it we'll just have to play by ear as it comes up, but the other ones here, that are on here, I think it'd be easy to do.
Some of them like there's 1, 2, 3, 4 UGA ones up there. One thing you could do there is basically just put a bunch in an envelope and send them to the relevant person on campus and get them, particularly the athletic department,
Yeah.
the department heads, they can distribute. So they want them, they're a big customer around here, one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Keith, you had asked about, restaurants and hotels and things, and I don't know what you think about that. You'll see something down the bottom of this has got sort of question marks.
Well, and the thing about that is, these folks that do come to town, that might want to use the airport.
Yeah,
I don't want to get a whole lot out there for places like that, because most of them don't.
Right, yeah.
So I don't want it to be wasted, but, there are a lot of folks that do come to town, in business, possibly, hopefully, in business. So I would definitely put a few,
yeah.
some of those.
If you get one of the assistants who get, who in terms to fold a bunch of those, the cheap paper ones, let's call them. And we can take a sheet of those each, so that we have them if we see it in other places to put them.
Yeah, and that's the thing, the obvious place, because they're not gonna let you just, they would know,
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
it looks, it's just
Yeah.
a bunch of stuff everywhere, it looks trashy, so.
where there's a rack and where
If there's a
there.
rat, yeah, that's where, like, when people saying, how can we help you?
Yeah.
If you're out there and see these rats, that's where
Keep a mental note of where you see the rats.
Yeah.
When I did my renovations, that's a constant problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you don't.
People dropping, and
Yeah.
they want, any flat surface, people want to put things down, any vertical, window surface, people want to take things to.
Yeah. Like that.
In the hallway down toward bathrooms, I put in billboard, or corkboard material. Just so that is our community
Yeah.
engagement area.
Yeah.
Hey, go down there are push pins, put it anywhere you want. As soon as it falls on the floor, it goes in the trash.
Yeah.
So, it's gotta be appropriate. If I knew, I'm not gonna look at everything, but if I'm walking back to my office or to the bathroom and I see something that's inappropriate, it's getting rid of it.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's
Those are the rules.
yeah,
Take it or leave it. But, we could push pin a few up,
yeah, sure, okay. So the restaurants and things like that, just have to be careful, hotels too, but most hotels do have some kind of.
Yeah, usually, you only think of where I've seen them in touristy areas where.
Yeah.
travel agent,
What was the big event that it was here? Was it last year? A lot of, well-off, what was it? It was some event here
Yeah.
at the airport that you had with a lot of very well-off people, and it was.
Almost had it. It was,
Wasn't there some politician thing? Was that the one you were meaning?
Well, I think it was more of a organization that gets
It was,
together
it
once a
was,
year or
yeah.
something like that. Was it related to the Georgia?
They're not here?
No,
It was, started with a C, some weird name.
you don't remember, it was, there was
I want to say consortium, but.
very well off, and power makers.
It's like a Spanish name, and some.
Oh, that is right, yeah.
Something, I don't
It
know.
was sort of like a secret society.
Yeah, uh-huh.
I mean, if something like that was gonna be coming, that might be a perfect one, just to share things like this or other events that might be at a target audience.
Now, that would be a good one.
Yeah,
I didn't know as they were coming off the airplane, here you go, here you go.
yeah.
The classic center? Would be
Oh,
nice.
that'd be a good one, yeah. That's what I said.
Yeah,
You could have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because with that, if there's an event that's gonna be coming to Athens where it would have a target audience, some pilot or whatever that it might be,
yeah.
we'd like to know about it. It could be happening at the Classic Center or somewhere else.
The UGA Aviation Club just had their spring fly-in, but maybe worthwhile for any of their events.
Yeah.
Yes, that'd be good. Yeah, even their started.
Yeah, they could stick them like see back.
Yeah.
Just like, just when you're doing like lap service or anything, just like stick a punch on all the wheels up lanes, get up there.
Take them to the windows.
Exactly. Just,
Well, I'll update the document here with notes that I got, just share it out, and in my,
Yeah.
and y'all let us know where we
Okay.
can help in any kind of ways or.
Yeah, just
ideas.
be on the lookout for some of those areas where we can, place.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is sort of the end of the route for us, we've done our most here, but
Done a good
updated
job,
with
I appreciate it.
nice product.
And they were able to get the QR code as an active code, right, Devin, I think? With
Yeah.
this, so that like what, David had suggested, so we have any kind of things with.
So who's got privileges to update it? Do you?
Yeah, I do.
Poor Darren.
Yeah.
Okay,
But it's going to the airport website right now.
Right, yeah, it's good.
yeah.
Good. Well, other than that, all we had talked about is at one time, I don't suggest we get delve into it now, was, the idea, Matt and Diane brought this up about having separately, we did have, our previous fact sheet had a lot of details.
Mhm.
Some of that would be of interest to people. Maybe have something to where, and I don't know if it would fall in as QR code, we still would have maybe an online document somewhere.
Mhm.
Suggest we get into this very much now, but where if there's more detailed information, if we want to, we discuss that option.
Yeah.
Because we did pare down a lot with this fact sheet
Mhm.
and, so.
I think we said maybe Diane might have said, we'll link it to the strategic plan too, but all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and the two kinds of people in the world, those that go north and those that go up.
And you can,
Read everything.
I assume we have a PDF of the document, right?
What, of the fact sheet?
Yeah.
yes, it is.
PDF deliverable, so that could go in, you can go and bookmark and hyperlink to,
Yeah.
so if you get to an online version where that takes you to, whatever source documents and whatever.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's, I appreciate that you're prepared to spend, the money, Mark, to print more copies because your codes and everything else.
Yeah, it's gonna be really
Hard
nice.
copies still,
Yeah.
for the average kid coming here that might have no interest in the airport and everything. And a tour,
Yeah.
you could light a spark that you wouldn't.
Yeah.
So I think hard copies are a good thing to have to share. Yeah.
Well, and the other thing was, item 2 under business finance strategic plan updates, and,
Yes.
yeah, Devin, you got it up. Devin, you go down just to really, I know Diane, one of the to-dos was Diane and Mike were gonna get together and look at strat plan 4.1. And we did, make a few, they're in blue there.
Yeah.
Max, since you got the best, I know David, since you're the youngest one, you can what's in blue to everybody. Actually, anyway, the changes there were some minor things, 4.1.1 there, published annual report, we just added in there about the, update of the, fact sheet
Yeah.
by May, which we've done, and an upgrade distribution plan, which we're working on now. And then, I think further down, about hosting airport aviation events and tours, just emphasizing that since that's, Davin's got a lot going on with that. And, yeah, go ahead, Diane. What else, anything else to highlight in that section? I think that's.
Yeah, that was it. We simply added in and tours, quote unquote.
Right.
We actually wasn't in there. And it is one of the things that there's a lot of activity on now.
Yeah,
So they were brief. Yeah, we actually had a meeting last week about some good thoughts about it. But I think that finishes off this updating task as well.
do the next
Two
update.
big projects this year we managed to
Yeah,
finish up.
I guess the next update for a strategic plan will be in our, July, meeting, probably.
Yeah.
That's it as far as.
All right, any other thoughts about that? I think that's also gone on, over a number of iterations.
Yeah.
And Mike, I think you got, also there'll be, when we meet starting fiscal year 26 in the fall, we'll be looking at whether there's changes to the strategic plan, so there's all in the city.
Yeah.
Yeah, they may come up with new goals.
Something we need to support.
Remove a goal. Maybe they'll remove a goal.
Maybe. I can't imagine they'll do anything until they get a new man.
Yeah.
To me.
Well, I mean, on that sort of topic, are we likely to have any planning proposals come our way in the next couple of months? Like Bruce Long said, that they tend not to do much in the summer because
Yeah.
the mayor and commission, because they have a few
Doubt.
briefings behind people's backs.
I would say no, August would probably be the one
Yeah,
that they have.
yeah, I would imagine so.
In fact,
So by then, we can study the good part. Really,
Look forward to the opportunity.
you can have
Unless
three.
David
people.
changes his phone number, we can always call him.
Oh, it's gone. That's gone.
So, you know,
The email address is gone.
you see, named up. Yeah, he's already acting like a lame.
Whack, whack.
It can be a very beneficial role. I remember when we were doing strategic planning in the program and in the college that I was running the program, and they came up with all this stuff, and the politics were really bad at the time. I don't want to say, well, I just like to make an announcement for purposes of future planning. You can do what you like. I'm retiring. And so I'm a lame duck. I'm just a silence. So, take a good role.
Okay, I've got the right number, y'all. So
You got this number.
So, all right. So speaking of Ops Committee, gentlemen, any report?
Not really any report. I noticed the movement of the, water, hose and
Yeah.
over towards the Foxtrot hangers in that area. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, yeah. You mean where they were watching airplanes? Yeah, yeah. So there was a major leak underneath pavement in front of, Rob's place, which would require us to dig off on it to fix it. And pretty much the only thing I think that it served was that
yeah.
spigot where, they washed airplanes. So we have an area over here, that they can
Well,
wash
not,
airplanes.
yeah, all the way back.
Yep. And, so if anybody has to watch airplanes, they can go over there and use that. And
Well, but there was a new one over,
yeah, that's right. There is a new one. They put a new one in, over there near CFP, right?
right.
Yeah, yeah.
I, was talking to Mr. Sellers.
Mhm.
And he mentioned, any feathers ruffled at all, but he mentioned that CIP had a bit of an issue with where it was and that they were worried about runoff.
Why? There's no really issue there because we looked at it. And I don't know why there's.
Okay, have they complained?
Yeah. CIP does.
yeah,
Yeah, but
we-
it's one person with CIP. Let me just put it that.
Got it. Well, Mr. Sellers and I kind of giggled, snickered a little in that.
Yeah, because I don't.
There doesn't seem to be a major crisis, and also I don't think that
And I
CIP
think
contributes anything to the airport by way of, at least from a financial stake,
Yeah.
by way of their existence here.
We give a lot to the CIP. We offer a lot to them, and I'll tell you, this one person, I won't mention names either, has harassed our people and has pretty much, I won't say great, but that, and I told my folks, I said, listen, next time they do that, I want you to come to me, but I'm gonna take care of it. And they said, no, we'll take care of it, but if I have to.
Is this also a tenant or?
Yes. But anyway, I'll just leave it at that. It is a situation. But it's not a situation as far as that goes,
Well, and I was just kind of looking at it. I was looking at a brand new hose and brand new spigot and thinking, this is the proverbial gift horse, and I feel like it's being a lot looked in the mouth.
We made it work because we heard voices saying, we'd like to have it over there, not go over here. So we did what we could, and it really isn't.
Yes,
It's just one person.
well, just in efforts to maintain peace,
There.
I'm happy to
Okay.
talk to whomever. When I was over there looking at it, by, just catching up, chatting, and he, it's only coming from that conversation, but it's hearsay to me that he was like, yeah, I was quite upset about it. I would think it would be the opposite.
I know you would think, right?
I would think that this would be a thank you. Well, thank you for having that there. So whatever line was leaking, that's the one that also goes to the end of the hanger rows? Is there little spigots on?
I don't know. That's the guy, so not.
I'm pretty sure I think there's one at the end. I don't know if there's one at the end of Foxtrot. That's what happened to me. I went around to, what am I, Foxtrot now?
Yeah,
I went around to the end and there's one sitting down, pretty low.
yeah,
And I'll just fill up squirt bottle from there from time to time. And it was empty and I knew that the one wasn't over by the, self-serve anymore.
yeah,
And so I had noticed Caleb and Drew doing some work. So I was like, oh, let me walk over there and maybe that'll work. And sure enough, it did.
Yeah.
I filled up my little quart jug and, that's when Jim and I were talking to you, like, yeah, see if he's not happy about it.
but we were able to do that because, the Coleman hangar, they're not paying for the water, which we had to find out first. So we tapped from there and we moved, just carried it forward.
Okay.
And we did a lot with CAB. They had some issues with some of their plumbing and Caleb, started working on it. And, it was the waste stream that he was working on. And I mean, we can make them do that, but he did it. And some of that waste stream got all over him, And so we had to make a report on that as this material got on, He had to go get some new flows, and then he gets yelled at. So it's just not, it's not pretty
Let's see anything.
similar to it.
Oh,
It's a good
okay.
organization,
So,
but they're volunteers and you just don't know personality. But they're all good people. They're all, there's a new mission.
well, some-
A couple of them. I am also, I think, a dues paying member of CAP, so happy to.
Yeah.
I'm completely uninvolved, but, would be happy to
Okay.
try to.
Increase that. Yeah, I most definitely will.
Well, the only other thing on that little group of, unfortunately, is service development. Marketing committee, and we know that's basically on the back burner, for all intents and purposes, we don't really even have to have it on the agenda anymore, but it's just there's a placeholder, unless and until something changes, there's a placeholder.
Well, I did have to turn in a quarterly report,
Yeah,
to the U.S. Department of Transportation.
okay,
And I did talk to, Doug, we run,
yeah,
he basically, I think Gavin was, email too, but he basically told us, the situation, it's the same. So I reached out to, USDOT and asked, can we extend this?
scared them.
2026, he said yes, usually the first time, no, so you just give us a letter, it's good for you.
Yeah,
He said every time after that, we'll have to be approved. But, in the approval after that, you have to show some progress reports, what you're trying to do,
yeah,
things like that. So, well, that's what I'll do. I'll send a letter in this time, but it's the end of the year.
the 2026.
Yeah.
That'll take you through calendar 26.
27, probably, 26 is one.
Oh, this is perfect, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
yeah,
then, we'll just keep on keeping on.
yeah,
So somebody
we'll just be watching.
gets smart, says, yeah, I can make money
Yeah.
at that. I said, all these people, that was not smart.
Well,
They
it's
could
fine,
make money.
leave it there as a placeholder,
Yeah.
then it's ready to go, then it changes. So, all right, thank you, Mike. So, there's only one item of other business that's briefly, Keith sent all of us the notice about this. What sounds like there's gonna be an interesting old film that's seen it from, not this Saturday, the next Saturday.
Right, yeah. I don't know anything about it, but we got it from.
You got the glow from it, and John and I got a booking, so we'll see.
Where's it at?
It's at CNA downtown, remember where we
Yeah.
used to have the Federation of
Yeah.
Baptist meetings?
Yeah.
And there's a showing at 2:15 and there's one at 5:15. Then you have to just go online and get a reservation, it's free.
What are they showing? What are they showing?
It's an old movie about those high-flying stuntmen that used to keep it all over, and they did it.
The one they're highlighting is that started in Athens at the
Yeah.
Athens Airport.
Yeah.
This is first.
And so it might be interesting just to see what the airport looks like.
That would be
Next year. Yeah. So we'll go, you know, and see where it is. Yeah. So.
Bring some of those flyers.
Yeah. All right, well, any other business, reminders, or anything else, there, anything I'd say, you know, that we've got the next meeting pegged for the 27th, the fourth Tuesday in May. And by then we'll know who the 3 new members are, they'll be announced, but they won't be with us yet. So, hearing no other business, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn. Keith? In favor of adjourning? Rush for the door. So thank you for a good meeting, everybody.
Thank you all.
32nd last meeting. Yeah,
May and June.
May and June. You'll be sad.
Will.
Yeah. 8 years is a long time out of one side.
Yeah. Not the entirety of my daughter's life. I literally missed my first meeting because she was being born that day.
Yeah.
Her entire life.
Yeah. I remember you saying you missed, because I was feeling bad that I missed my first meeting because I was heading off to Kenya or somewhere. You said, oh, look, I missed mine, the first one too. Yeah. It's a big chunk of your life.
Like,
Mhm.
she was born at 3:16, so like literally like right as the meeting.
Yeah. So,
Your time went quick. To me, it went quick.
Well, you weren't here the whole time. I've been here longer than both of you.
I know. Yes, you have.
Where'd you start, Mike?
were you here when
It
David?
was, almost 7 years ago in July.
Huh?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, Tim, met me here in June and handed me a briefcase and a notebook and walked me through the commercial terminal that hadn't yet gotten its CO and said, sorry, I'm not gonna get to spend any time with you because my last day is next week. And then we didn't have a airport director.
Yeah.
When did you come up?
2018.
What month?
It'd be, is in July.
Okay, so it was a whole year.
Yeah.
Yeah, David Flood.
Yeah.
But that wasn't even immediate.
Yeah.
So,
There was some
yeah, it was,
stability there,
what do we do?
Yeah.
yeah. And then you were no sooner here and the runway reconstruction,
Yeah, they
That's
shut
it.
down the runway that
Yeah.
week I came and
that's when I met you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
started that project.
That's when that started?
Yeah.
The week I came was when it shut down. But to start the project. 7 years ago.
The runway.
Yeah.
Okay, not the tax.
Oh, Lord,
Yeah,
no,
yeah, yeah. I
no,
was
no,
like,
no.
no way.
No, no, no.
No way. Got it. The runway.